live from Cannes Lyon, Festival de Créativité. I don't know if I said that right. Our producer Sebastian will tell us whether or not I did. No, you don't have the beginning.
No, because it was not.
Oh, okay. Are we live now? Oh, we're live now. Hey, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, guys. We're live. Welcome. We are coming at you from the Sprout Social podcast panel. I'm here with Patty. Patty, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. Yeah, I'm in an air-conditioned room. I couldn't be happier.
We're just content to be in an air-conditioned room. For anyone at home right now, I'm Rita Risha, and you are watching us live from Cannes Lion 2026, and we are with the Sprout Social team. We are on the ground here in the south of France, actually broadcasting to talk to you all about the creator economy. We're in this amazing private studio right now, and really what we're focusing on today is what's going on out here in Cannes, what's going on in the creator economy, and I'm here to be your guide, and I'm joined by two amazing people. First and foremost, we got Curtis from Sprout Social, all the way joining us from Chi-Town. Say what's up, Curtis.
What's up, man? It's early here. It's early.
What time are we calling in from?
Man, it is 4:21 a.m. But you know what?
No way.
But you know what, Rita, when you say to get on the stream, when you say it, it has to happen. I don't care what time it is. So I'll get some coffee. I'll get some coffee in a minute.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect for the hustle.
Can't believe how much energy you have at 4 a.m. That is so impressive.
You have been killing it for us, dude.
You know what? I got to tell you, I told somebody actually just text me this because I'm also in our WhatsApp chat with our 200 and something creators we got on the ground, and it was like, how do you? I said, this is the only way that I can truly productively channel the FOMO that I have of not being down there with you. So it's I got to channel this FOMO because I got creators sending me back pictures with Oprah, Kiki Palmer. I'm like, man,
I met Huda today.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I bumped into Huda. And I shook her hand, and I was very proud of myself because I didn't squeal or fangirl. I was very professional about it. But it was the first thing on the way here. I thought it was like a good sign from the universe that the interviewer herself was, bestowed herself upon me before this interview. So, well, let's get right into it, guys. So, Patty, please introduce yourself for us. We're really excited to have you on.
For sure. It's great to be here. I'm Paddy. I'm Chief Creative Officer at Born Social. We're a social-first creative agency globally. And I've come in from New York, actually, because I've recently just relocated to head up our New York office. So I'm very excited to be here. And yeah, it's just great to chat all things creative and creators.
We really appreciate you being on here. The reason why I wanted to pull this roundtable together is we have really amazing perspectives here in this live stream right now, from Sprout being a provider that is a tool for creators and businesses, agencies, anyone and the like, and then from your end, empowering the people and the systems and everything behind it. So before we get into anything at all, do you mind just telling us a little bit briefly about Born Social?
For sure, yeah. So we've been around for about 14 years, which is pretty much the entirety of sort of social as a marketing tool. So really, we've cut our teeth being like a true specialist in the social world. And now we've evolved to become a global social first creative agency, whereby we are taking that ethos of social first thinking and our belief that you can build brands on social media and bringing that to some of the biggest businesses in the world. And helping them, also like the idea of transformation, helping them feel increasingly relevant in that space, understand how they take the principles of brand building, but recode and remaster them to serve the social communities and platforms. And we do that with everything. So that's creative, design, production, creators, all in-house, all to build something that, is ultimately there to help build brilliant businesses.
Amazing. And just for the folks that are tuning in on my stream that have not yet heard of Sprout Social, Curtis, do you mind giving us a little 1-2 about this amazing company that is bringing me out here to be a support on my journey in Cannes?
Yeah, thank you for that. Sprout Social has been around 16 years, started in 2010, and basically we're kind of the backbone that supports a lot of organizations of all different sizes as they work to be social first companies. And so that takes shape in different realms. We're primarily software as a service. So that takes shape either in folks that have our core product offerings, which focus a lot on publishing and listening and some analytics. And then there's, folks that use our expanded set of products, which include NewsWhip, which is more of a kind of predictive scenario where you can kind of look at media stories and kind of see which ones maybe are going to spike. And then we have influencer marketing, which is how I met you, Rita, through that process. And then the other piece is employee advocacy, because a lot more companies are understanding that some of their truest influencers are actually inside of the company. And so what we do is provide a platform and a method that you can engage those some of your most loyal supporters who happen to be on your payroll, and give them a way to share their voice consistently.
So now that we got the business official side out there for the CMOs or whoever CMO is listening, let's get to the T of Cannes. All right, we got our foundation level setting here. From what I've heard, Cannes really just used to feel like a bunch of creators were guests at the table. I watched a video from last year where an individual was talking about, like, I feel like I was there, but they didn't take us seriously and they didn't really know like what to do with us. And this year, from going to all of the sessions, I'm really getting the vibe that, like, I think creators, like, we're running the room, creatorpreneurs, not just creators, people of all backgrounds that aren't from a traditional, Fortune 500 brand or an agency are really entering the chat. But also agencies as well are starting to experiment with creators and just that entire economy. So I'll start with you, Patty. How does that signal read for you? Are you seeing this kind of like resurgence of it, or what's the vibe you're catching from Cannes this year as it relates to just the creator economy and creators as a whole?
Yeah, I echo your excitement. I think anytime I see something social or social first start to get a bigger seat at the table, I get excited, as you'd imagine, working for a social specialist agency. I think for me, that whole point, or the weight and gravity they carry now, is an extension of the need for brands to have increasing amount of relevance, increasing amount of relevance and authenticity. And like, I think that's why creators increasingly are seen as one of the most powerful, influential tools you have, because they just understand the platforms better than brands. They have the capacity to entertain more. They're truly authentic because they're themselves. They have like a real niche understanding. They know how to speak to a community, all things that brands aspire to do really well, and potentially struggle to do because it takes a lot of time and craft to build those things in. And so I think, I get excited because brands really want to understand how to do it. Creators really know how to do it. And broadly, my job is to sort of help bring those two things together. It's to help brands, co-create ideas that have creators built into them and baked into them, so they can transfer those learnings, that authenticity, that personality, all the stuff that we know stands out. And there's a lot of stuff. It's busy. There's a lot of slop coming into the internet. And so, starting to stand out in general is obviously the most important thing. And that's where creators really have the sharp teeth.
I love that. And I think the authenticity there is huge. Just from what you're doing, Curtis, talk to us about the idea of bringing together creators in a WhatsApp group it was probably an idea you had on a lunch break on a Tuesday or something. And now here you are, it's 4 a.m. and we're talking about the creator economy and you got 250 plus people. But this authenticity and the energy that I get from the other content creators, I'm feeling that as well in that environment that we're doing. So talk to us a little bit about that and what your thoughts are based on what Patty just said as well too.
Yeah, I totally agree with Patty. And both of us have been in the game long enough to really understand that social as a whole discipline used to feel like creators were treated a couple years ago. When I first got my first role in social, I think I had social was like and social media. So I was like manager of public relations and this and that and social media. And I was just told, not to break anything. And so with creators, I think that Cannes has realized that, the creator economy is probably the biggest shift in social in a long time. And so, rather than a bunch of, senior marketing executives coming to a very exclusive place and talking to each other about the future of the creator economy, I think Cannes as a conference kind of has decided to make it more available by releasing the Creator Pass. And I think you're going to see some things with creators being on the ground. And so with our program, one of the things we looked at, candidly, like a lot of brands, we knew we wanted to have a creator presence here, but the economics are hard to really like invest in truly having a cohort of creators come down. It's just the math doesn't math unless you're a certain.
The math ain't math.
The math ain't math. So basically, what we did, we said we knew that we had a vision here. Our organization was coming down here to really underscore our place as the category leader in social intelligence and kind of a new discipline there. So there was a lot going on there. And so we wanted creators to amplify that, both amplify kind of our activations here, including Canva Beach and other things, but also amplify the thought leadership. And so we just basically, we put out a feeler via LinkedIn. Just my head of influencer just put out a feeler and just said, hey, we're going. If you're already going, tap in. That was the signal where we knew there was something there, because like 40 people responded. And so then we created a process through our influencer platform to recruit them. And I'll be honest with you, the goal was just to really engage maybe 50 creators that said they were coming to Cannes, and of that really engage from a hiring perspective, 10 of them, and the other 40 just kind of do a very warm relationship. But when we looked up, it wasn't the number of creators that raised their hand, because that doesn't really matter to me. The sheer velocity, it's real early in the morning, the sheer amount of creators. But then we started to look at the data, and I realized I had folks like Rita Ricci, who's like, I didn't know her before this, but I looked at the data and then looked at her LinkedIn and was like, oh, she's got it going on. And then there was other people.
I appreciate that.
No, I was like, no, she's got it going on. I just hadn't discovered her before that. And I was glad I discovered her now, because after Cannes, she told me the price is going to double. But anyway, but she said yesterday's price is not today's price, my friend.
I met Huda now, right? So just kidding.
You met Huda. I heard she was. I
saw
Rita
Oprah yesterday.
Yeah, he was just in negotiations with Oprah over Rosé. I saw it going on. But in all seriousness, I started to see that. Like, I started to see we had like 54 creators that had a combined 2.1 million followers in LinkedIn. So what I had 250 creators that were going to be on the ground that had a reach of 44.3 million folks from 16 countries. So if I just made that a typical campaign where, we hired a few and said, adios, or no, where y'all at? France? Au revoir to the other ones. We would have been in a situation. So I said, what can we build? And so that's what we did. We said, what we can do with these creators is that you guys are high value creators, and you're high value creators because you've bet on yourself. It's not cheap to get to Cannes. There's no equivalent of the former Spirit Airlines internationally. Like, you can't catch a train to Cannes from the States. So y'all are putting your money together. You're staying in Airbnbs. And Patty, I'll ask you, doesn't this kind of remind you of the early days of South by Southwest?
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the early days. I'm just a glory hunter. But yeah, but I get what you mean. I totally get what you mean.
Let's talk a little bit about that strategy, though, for a second. I want to tap in from your perspective.
Sure.
Like, what are your thoughts on this as idea or concept of a brand working with other creators? Like, what's the biggest mistake that you think brands are still making when they try to start something like this?
Mm-hmm.
And what part of a little bit of what you heard of what we're doing here was kind of like an interesting thought to you?
Yeah, I think this whole thing of brands wanting to truly understand what creators do really well is a really, really good sign. But then there is just that practical reality of putting it in practice, which often comes back to, worst case scenario, it is they're a distribution channel, and therefore we've done all of the thinking in pre-production. We've worked everything out. We've crafted the comms as we would normally, because we want to control the narrative, and therefore we're going to use it as a distribution channel. And you can tell that from a mile away, right? Every time you see something, you're like, this has been scripted to win an instant its life. This feels like they're just a mouthpiece for the brand. And that I think is getting removed, like more and more of that, because the sentiment on social will play out very quickly that people don't see that as authentic. And the reason why they follow that person is because of their credible perspective on things. So I guess to come to your question, it's like the number one thing they can do, or the thing they shouldn't do, is do that. They should really start to consult people early on. And actually, it's like the role of proactivity, which is super hard, especially in a social world where everything feels responsive, reactive. You have an obligation to be like doing things immediately, in order to be in that like cultural zeitgeist. But the reality is you also have to carve out space to actually be proactive about things. Like, we would advise our clients always to do a lot of strategy and deep thinking on like your cultural relevance, where you can play authentically, what value you offer to a space, and then to build a network of tastemakers around that proactively. Tastemakers.
Tell me what that, I want to understand what that is.
Yeah, well, I would say
content sommeliers is what I understood from that.
I'll take that as well, if you're honest. Yeah, like I think you can talk about tastemakers to capture the full spectrum of what it is to be an influencer, creator, just a personality, social first talent that's been born out of the social channels. I'd argue that that's like how I would speak about it from a creative perspective, is that you have to have good taste, and that taste can show up in how you craft and make things, but it can show up in what your perspective and your point of view is as well. And a lot of people try it. A lot of people fail, probably because they haven't gone hard enough on figuring out how to craft their message or how to craft an original opinion on things. So I would say, like, we categorize tastemakers, and that therefore we can allow ourselves to speak about or bring in traditional influencers who may have big audiences on traditional long running platforms, or new wave creators who are actually building a space in TikTok, or people who work in communities on Reddit. And therefore we can actually be much more creative in how we think about voices that we bring into the brand, and then how we craft narratives with their voice in mind, rather than using a distribution channel. And so we'll talk about co-creation a lot. We'll talk about using springboards, which are just like broader briefs that aren't prescriptive. They are all catalysts for great creative. And like, the best brands have really great creative ideas, conviction, proactivity, and then they bring those people in early, and they trust them to influence the work, to shape the narrative, and they consult with them. And that's where the best work shows up. And that's the stuff that I think we see on stage. And it's a byproduct of a lot of thought and effort and collaboration. And so, yeah, that's the stuff that excites me. And therefore my advice is always to clients, really do your due diligence on strategy, really have bold, ambitious, creative ideas, build a network of tastemakers proactively, and then craft the ideas with their voice, not just using them as a distribution channel.
That's so well said. And Curtis, I wanted to hear your thoughts too, because some of our social insights reports that we have a lot of data that actually shows that investing in creators or social first, like, has a huge ROI for brands. Do you have any thoughts to add into that? Because the creativity and the functionality and operations and all of that is important, but I think that we're seeing real results.
No, you're absolutely right. I think one of the things that we've been trying to talk about at the social intelligence layer is that more and more we're seeing this social as a decision layer. So, despite our best efforts and, the work that we put into our proactive marketing, folks are turning to social to help make that final decision. And within that, they are turning to the folks that they trust, who have a sphere of influence that can be large, like your traditional influencers, or it could be a small sphere of influence, somebody who has a niche that they really, really trust. That's one of the things that in this creator economy that's amazing. My colleague, our VP of social intelligence, Brittany Hennessy, makes me laugh because she always says, like, there is an influencer or niche for everything. I'm wearing a custom linen Sprout green shirt, and there's probably a custom linen influencer who would say, man, you probably should have used like 30 grade cotton instead of whatever, you know what I mean? But so
did you guys see the cow influencer? There's a cow influencer.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I'm not surprised.
What are those words?
Just like he cleans the cow's hooves or whatever.
Yeah,
and that's all he does.
Yeah, man. What I did, TikTok, soothing the brain.
Right. What I did hear about that cow influencer was that he was making moves. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
here we go.
Okay.
Now we're talking.
Now we cooking. But seriously though, like with it, Patty, you made a great point that brands make a mistake, and I love music. They call me the brand DJ, and I love music. And it's like, it's the equivalent of when I used to go tell DJs what to play at my parties. Like when I just throw parties and I get the best DJ and I would be like, so I need you to do, and they would look at me like, bruh, like you saw me at this other club doing my thing. Now you want to bring me to your spot and you want me to play your music. And that's why, like, Patty, you tell me this, the funniest thing to do is look at an influencer's grid, right? So they got all this engagement. Then they're like, hashtag ad, and it's like 15 comments. And it breaks up the feed, man. Whereas when you just, and I think you're right. One of the things that we're trying to do with this whole launching of our Sprout Social Creator Network, launching it here at Cannes, is that I told them on the Zoom calls, Rita can say, like, I'm all for AI, but when I say AI, I mean authentic interaction. And I think that people forget that creators are people, where it's like, they're people who just so have happened to crack the code on how to create content that breaks through. So it's something that we, I struggle with that every day. And so, but we start, to your point, Patty, we start treating them like another distribution channel. And I think the nuance is, like, we kind of have to do that so we can get the budget, but you got to sit down. And so my program, or our program, is all about, that's why I'm up at 4 a.m. because somebody has to manage the WhatsApp to make sure that these guys know that today is We Outside Wednesdays, and we're about to drop their theme song and all this kind of stuff. And we got a party tomorrow. So it's like, you got to be up. And I got my creator lead on the ground, making sure that she's walking around and doing all that stuff. But I really believe, you guys, that I feel like, and this is not just a hot take, but I feel like a lot of brands are stealing from the creator economy. They're not investing in the creator economy. Hiring a creator is not investing in the creator economy. Getting ecosystems and things like that. It's not like just saying, hey, I'm going to pay you. And if you're going to do that, you can't get mad when that influencer's rate card is $1 more than the next brand paid them. Like when they're like, oh, my rate is $20,001 because the last brand paid me $20,000. Because we're not investing in the creator economy. We're not doing the things and that's what we're doing with this. Somebody said, well, what's the deliverables? I said, I didn't hire these people, so I'm not going to give them a deliverable. Like I said on the Zoom call, I said, my job here is to create a pipeline and to give you all an experience that you're going to talk about. And Patty, what I said on the call was, I said, Beyonce don't give you a set of deliverables when you come to the concert. Okay, I want y'all to take a picture of me as Cowboy Carter, Love on Top, and this. No, she just gives you 2 hours of entertainment, and you are obsessed with that. And so I wanted to give these creators 3 days of concierge level support, making them feel like the VIPs they are. And if from those 250, if 75 want to work with me, I've won.
I would love for you to dive into this concept of like actually investing in the creator economy and putting strategies in place, maybe some things that you've successfully seen for what that looks like versus hey, so-and-so, make me a reel, bye, we never talk to you again. What does that look like in the industry for you?
Yeah, I think it's a really valid point. And I think it has to go beyond purely just the fee. And especially if you're just trying to negotiate the fee down, like pay people fairly, especially if they have a creative opinion or voice or craft. You should pay them like you would pay any other, creative person, which is highly, because it can, do insane things to your business, massively punch above its weight. I think that is it comes back to a bit of the point I said about truly understanding what the cultural space to play is. I think when you do that really well, then you can understand which initiatives you should be investing in and how you can actually facilitate things in that space more broadly and basically feed the next generation of people who are going to come into that, make it more accessible or open to them. And, for Guinness, for example, one of the big strands of tastemakers we work with is artists, because people see Guinness as a work of art. They see it as so beautiful that it was worthy of being in a gallery, which I totally agree with. And we actually literally commission artists to paint pints of Guinness, and then we give them to people who share photos with us as a set way to say thank you. for sharing this UGC, for interacting. And the point there is that we actually invest in the artist community. We're literally commissioning them. We're giving them a platform to show their work. We're going to house them in a gallery. We're going to give them a space in the storehouse. And it's that sort of thing that creates better relationships, which creates better work. But also people see that in the public, and I think they respect that, because it doesn't have immediate ROI, but it is something that great brands do. And I think they have an accountability to do as well.
I think that thought process shows the intentionality behind that effort. And for a brand that's looking to properly activate any type of strategy like this, what are some actual questions that they should be asking to get them closer to that desired effect, instead of just like, we're gonna try this from that end? And then maybe from the creator end, what questions should they be asking themselves to present that best foot forward to appeal to that brand potentially?
Okay, that's great. That one I'll need to cook on. But I would say the first thing, I will be sound like a broken record here a bit, but I do think that great strategy is sacrifice. And so it is really about distillation. Like, what are we actually trying to do? Because I think at worst, when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And there is, especially with social, I think because it's relatively free and accessible, it feels like you want to do everything at all times. So with brands, I'm always like, what is the one or two things that you can do better, that you have a credible route within? What are you going to do about it? Like, what are you going to do to invest and create in that space? And then, yeah, so I would always start with that point of just like genuinely understanding what that is based on like historically what you've done as a brand and the initiatives you have. And the number one thing is number two, I suppose, is genuinely like understand what people are saying about your business and your brand in the social channels. So social listening is not a hot take in any capacity. It wouldn't be a hot take if I was saying it 10 years ago, but it is surprising how little that sort of goes or flies under the radar. And when we get into the trenches with the communities, they tell us hilarious and incredible things, and we unearth all those truths. And great ideas, great social first ideas, basically just weaponize them. They take them, they add the layer of the brand, they understand the distinctiveness that makes it relevant to the brand, but they don't overwhelm it, and then they project that out. So again, I would just say you got to understand your brand really well, understand the sort of cultural narratives that you can contribute to positively. You've got to listen to your community and genuinely interact and nurture that. When you have those three things, you'll truly understand what you can and speak about, and you'll have a little skew because the people will tell you what they want to hear, or they'll tell you what they believe, and your job is then just to figure out how to play that back. So I would say they're just the fundamentals, and you've got to spend a lot of time doing it. And I think that's why Born is such a great agency, because we have such a brilliant strategy team. They take that incredibly seriously, and that is what great brands have to do. In social, they have to invest in the same way they've done historically in any other agency. And then for the creators, I think the opposite is true. I think be bold, like definitely be bold, like know your worth. I guess when you're pricing, it always gets a bit awkward because you're trying to determine value, and that's a personal thing. Know your worth. Don't underprice yourself 100%, and then really try and investigate those things from the brand. Like, who else are you working with? Why do you like my work? What do you think is interesting about my point of view? Like, put them on the spot, make sure they've done their due diligence, and then bring ideas. Always bring ideas, new ideas, energy, optimism. They're like the lifeblood of creative, right? And I think it's so inspiring when you work with third parties and they just bring massive energy to the table, because you're like, yes,
more energy, more passion. That's that meme.
Yeah.
If I had this song, more energy, more passion.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I'd just be like, don't underestimate that.
Yes.
And that's for anyone creative. Don't underestimate that. But especially for creators who are trying to make an influence on brand marketers.
Fantastic. Curtis, as we wrap this just really thought-provoking chat from brands and creators, the social listening part that Patty was talking about here resonated with me with some of the data that we are actually also Nancy Drewing, as I like to call it, researching when it comes to social and what's going on there. Do we have anything like that if someone's listening that they that might be coming out that they could look into if they wanted to learn more?
Yeah, thank you for that. You can definitely go to our website. We have a social intelligence report, because that's kind of the way we're looking at kind of the elevation of listening. The way we look at listening, the difference between social listening and social intelligence is social listening typically is about looking at the things that have passed. Social listening typically is a social team kind of looking at a range of items and reporting it to a small group to either optimize their content or work with marketing. We think the future is social intelligence, where you're gonna be looking at that social data as it comes in and looking for signals that can then have business impact. So if you don't mind indulging, I'll give you guys a really quick example.
Yeah.
A really quick example. Let's say you're a luxury hotel brand, right? Luxury hotel brand, 5-star, maybe it's the Hotel Martinez or the Carlton, right?
Yeah.
And so on the one hand, there's a person who's gone there one time in their life. But from a social perspective, every time they hear people talk about Cannes is coming up, they're like, oh my God, you got to stay at the Hotel Martinez. Da, 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 da. So over here, from the social side, they're using Sprout to tag that person as an advocate so that they can know, let's respond to them when they post and all of that. But let's go over here to revenue, or wherever you want to call it, revenue, or whoever, the money people. Now, their CRM is driven by purchase history. Okay, so as I told you, this person has gone to the Carlton one time. So they don't show up in the loyalty programs and the hierarchy that make them the consistent focus of marketing, because they haven't gone. But in a social intelligence world, what happens is the social team sees that we've identified a cohort of people who really love us, at least on social. So what social intelligence says is you take that signal and take it over to the revenue team and say, look, man, I don't know. I don't know what this could be or not be, but we see a lot of people there. So then you start having the conversations about the correlation. What comes out of that with the Carlton, the marketing, the revenue team says, you know what? Let's try this. We're going to do a friends and family program, because what we want to do is we want to reactivate that advocate, because we know that if they travel one time, they're going to talk about us for 5 years. So let's reactivate them. But also, we want to fundamentally actually be able to know their true impact. So like, how much influence do they have? Now, it goes back to our conversation where we said social is a decision layer. So now what happens is that same person who only went one time, who was looked at here in the CRM, when you do that family and friends program, you have a clickable link, and now you see that they've influenced directly 15 bookings. Okay, then maybe you're going to look at them differently in terms of your whole LTV situation, how you look at their long-term value to you, because now you have another metric that came from social, started with social, to be like, oh no, that person spent 5,000, but they've influenced 50,000. And then all the marketing soup people get excited, because then, man, the CAC is good, and then the ROAS is good, and the this and the that, and the CAC and the this and the LTV.
I know what those acronyms mean, but they all sound like really bad prescription names of things, to be honest with you. But what you're saying is valid. Like, it's really amazing what a company that is actually doing the social listening, investing in the creators, and tracking that data in a way that goes deeper than just how many people liked it or how many followers they had. I think it's a great ending point to provide you all who are watching right now and kind of share with you, Patty and Curtis, my biggest takeaway from the past 2 days. Yep. I've heard from multiple speakers that they believe in 2026 and beyond that the follower count is dead. It is no longer that defining thing to decide whether or not a brand should invest or work with someone else. And these conversations that we're having, brands that are smart enough to work with strategists and agencies that understand that can connect them with creators, and people like us at Sprout that understand how to use the proper tools to get everything syndicated and out there and create that ecosystem, are going to be the ones that win. And the ones that are just saying, well, I don't really know if I should work with this. Creators are cool, but we want to be taken seriously. We don't want to look funny. That's the biggest thing that I've heard from brands. We don't want to work with you because we're like, we're afraid to be comedic, or we're afraid to come off as raw. And like, I just think that's fear and an unwillingness to do all these amazing things here. So I'll get your hot take to round out this conversation. The follower count is dead. Yes or no? What do you think?
If it's binary, then yes. Yeah, I would echo that thought. I think it tracks with both. Maybe it's you'll overlook great talent who haven't had the opportunity yet to build their audience, and so you'll just be doing that a disservice. But also, it broadly tracks with user behaviors and how we see people interact. A lot of that goes to DMs and dark social, and you can't necessarily track and quantify that in the same way. And then similarly, we see things like TikTok fundamentally disrupt how you discover, and people finding things through interest, the interest graph and their cultural reference points, rather than pure active, seeing them, following them, and seeing them in a timeline. So I think that broadly tracks with all of it, and so I would say yes.
Your hot take, Curtis, is the follower count dead? Yay or nay?
Yeah, I'm totally with Patty on that. And I wish I could say it as smooth as he said. If it's not binary, it's no. But I'm just like,
we can add a little bit of je ne sais quoi,
He's just extra smooth with it. He just makes it sound like that's why he's a big CCO of the agency. Like I feel like every agency has a Patty in there that comes in there, man. They know their stuff, but they bring it to you in such a smooth way. You're like, sign me up for whatever.
No, you're a content sommelier and you sound like one. So
I'm looking at a Guinness bottle with painting on it because that man said it would work. But anyway, but with all seriousness, I agree with you. The follower count is dead for a couple reasons. In the attention economy, anybody can get attention. If I'm in Chicago right now, and if I stood at the corner and saying "Man in the Mirror" 15 times, I can draw attention. But do I have authority to sell something? And I think we all follow people. There's people we follow we don't want to admit we follow, but we all follow people because for the shock value and attention. But there's a very different person who can get me to buy stuff. And I think that is the audience versus authority. Give me somebody that has authority, especially in my space in the B2B side. Give me somebody that has authority and a little bit of personality, like Rita, like a little personality. Like you got a little personality.
Just enough to not be problematic,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Well, hey, B2B don't have to be bland and boring. You know what I'm saying? It can be bold and brash. You know what I'm saying? So
yes.
Yes. That's a bar. But it's too early over here, man. I'm just off the rails.
I think you're cooking. I love it. So many sound bites. This editor's gonna have a field day just cutting these up.
The AI editor is gonna go crazy. But to land the plane here, I totally agree with Patty, and I'm so glad he spent some time with us. Because I think that the follower count, man, you can't. That just doesn't translate into the bottom line the way you think it's going to translate. And I think it's another way that I see it is that you're starting to see like even athlete endorsements be different. Like it used to be, I'll get an athlete, I'll do it. Now it's like, can the athlete be and so that I think that's translating into the influencer space too. So yeah,
100%. I really appreciate you taking the time, Patty, to come talk to us and bring your special and very creative insights for this segment. Everyone that's watching, I hope this helped with your Cannes FOMO just a little bit, so that you got a taste of what's going on here at this live stream and at this event. Listen, we're going to be dropping a lot of content around what we're doing here with Sprout and some hot takes on creator economy. There's more to come, so please make sure you follow, you like, subscribe, you hit all the buttons, you do-si-do, you put your right foot in, your left foot out. Just kidding. Just do everything that you need to do to stay connected, and we'll catch you on the next Cannes. My name is Rita Risha, and it was a pleasure to be with you all. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Take it easy, everyone.
Bye. Shouting out, let's end the live stream. Producer, please. Thank you.